Spurs 0, Nottingham Forest 1, right on 45 minutes by Igor Jesus. Spurs 0, Nottingham Forest 2. It's Morgan Gibbs-White, 3 minutes to go. Spurs 0, Forest 3 for Taiwo Awoniyi to slide home inside the 6-yard box.
This guy's come in completely out of his depth. 4 losses in the last 5. I just see nothing in their performances that indicates to me that he's the man for the job.
Tottenham are continuing to deliberate over whether to change their manager for the final 7 games of the season. talkSPORT understands the appointment of Igor Tudor has not delivered the bounce the Spurs hierarchy wanted. However, the matter is sensitive following the death of the Croatian's father. Potential options to replace Tudor include former Monaco coach Adi Hutter, while there is also internal support for ex-Spurs player and coach Chris Hughton. Ferencváros boss Robbie Keane would also be keen to return to his former club, but only on a longer-term deal. Here's their former midfielder Jamie O'Hara, who told us the players cannot hack the pressure of a relegation battle.
I'm going to give you a positive spin. All right, I'm going to.
Have you seen encouraging signs?
No, I'm not seeing. I've not seen encouraging. Well, I did in the Champions League. I did against Liverpool, and then in the game that we needed to win or have to put in a performance, we buckle under the pressure. Buckle, because these players have got no cojones. They've got zero cojones to go out and play under pressure. They cannot play under pressure. Their psychological mentality of going out and playing when it's tough, they have got nothing to offer. Nothing. They just crawl away and hide, and they don't want to be involved because they would have to. No one wants to stand up. No one in that team wants to stand up. The only player I could say in the first half was Matthias Tell. And if you're scratching around to get a decent performance, and Matthias Tell is the guy you're going at, Archie Gray maybe as well.
Jamie O'Hara there, former Spurs midfielder. I was going to say he's a bit harsh there because where's Archie Gray's name being mentioned? Because that kid's had to play literally every single position on the pitch for Spurs over the last couple of managers, and he's been outstanding. Bless him. Speaking of bless him, let's welcome in Chris Cowlin from the Spurs Chat Podcast. Chris, oh my goodness, mate. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what question to ask you first, mate.
That's exactly it, Flex. That is exactly it. Oh, my goodness, where do we start? Honestly, good afternoon to you, by the way. We are now winless in 13 league games. It's our worst run for 91 years since 1935. I'll start there. This is how bad this season has been. Of course, Thomas Frank, now Igor Tudor. In my opinion, Igor Tudor needs to go because when you look at the 4 defeats in the Premier League under his management, we've conceded 12 goals, defeats against Arsenal, Fulham, Crystal Palace and Forest. We've been very well beaten in all 4 of these games. And, like Jamie O'Hara said there, and I'm glad that, like you said, I'm glad that he mentioned Archie Gray because Archie Gray is certainly putting a shift in. And I'd even include Kevin Danso in there as well.
He's playing hard.
We need to see more from this group of players. We need to see more from the manager. The manager was meant to be a real impact when he came in, and this hasn't been an impact at all. We've had 1 point out of a possible 15, and I just think we need to throw the dice again and get this decision right. I just hope the board do act and make the right decision this time because we've got 7 Premier League games left, and I tell you what, it is a real reality now that Spurs could be playing in the Championship because when you look at our games. What is an easy game in the Premier League these days? And, everyone around us, Nottingham Forest, Leeds, West Ham, even Wolves, it looks dead cert the Wolves are going down. They're all fighting. They're all fighting so much more.
Ironically, Chris, the only ezy game is playing against you. That's the only easy game. That's the only team that's the only one where teams look at it and go, "Oh, we've got Spurs." Forest have been struggling to get over the line. Got a bit of fight in there. Don't get me wrong. Got a draw at City and. They shown a little bit. You always feel there's something in there, but they can't. Been struggling to win football matches. Hence why they're in the position they're in. They play you. It's 3-0. 3-0, mate.
Flex, I always enjoy coming on here and having a bit of banter with you, but I tell you what, I have no comeback for that. I can't sit here and defend Spurs at the moment because we need to deliver a lot more, and we're not. And when you look at Sunday and you look at how many fans turned up to greet the bus, every single fan that I spoke to on Sunday were really confident because, we heard from all the players coming out saying, yeah, we know we need to give more. We know we need to deliver on the pitch, etc., etc. Thousands upon thousands of fans greeted the bus, and it was an incredible atmosphere. And I've never known it, a team really struggling and not performing. And then that level of support on Sunday was absolutely amazing. And if the players can't be up for the challenge after that greeting at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I don't know where our next point is coming from. I really don't, because, like Jamie O'Hara said there in the intro, we did have a very positive week. That point at Liverpool, we all felt that it could be the turning point. That performance against Atletico Madrid was really, really good. We haven't seen football like that at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, all season under, the managers. And it was a really encouraging performance. But I just felt like, again, Tudor really got it wrong in terms of team selection. Xavi Simons had probably one of the best games in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt on Wednesday against Atletico Madrid. And then he finds himself on the bench against Nottingham Forest. It's like he must be thinking, what on earth, could I have done in that game to get a start the following game in the Premier League? But honestly, I'm lost at the moment. I don't know how or what we do next. But what I do know is we do need to replace this manager because we need to think about the remaining 7 games. We're not playing for a few weeks, but I tell you what, the reality is, at the moment we are 1 point above the relegation zone, but West Ham play Wolves on the Friday night. We play on the Sunday away at Sunderland. If West Ham win that game, Spurs we're in the bottom 3. And I tell you what, I think when and if that happens, I think a number of Spurs fans and the club will be, thinking, what on earth, we should never be in this position. I know, I've come on here a couple of times this season and spoke to you and Dan. And I remember earlier on in the season, I was saying that things weren't good under Thomas Frank. And I don't think you two really believed how bad it was at that point. And this is where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying, I was having a conversation with someone at the weekend, actually, like once you drop into that bottom 3, I think that's where you've got even bigger problems, because I think, at the moment you've kind of just been outside of it all season or for the last couple of months. Once you drop in it and you're in that bottom 3, that's a completely different type of pressure. And those players showed at the weekend, they're put under pressure. They haven't got the stones and they haven't got the muscle to stand up for it and make it count. Chris, what on earth are they going to do next? I think it's quite clear that Tudor's going to go, and I think probably the last roll of the dice for Tottenham now is getting like a club man in to come and see out the season for Tottenham and try and get some feel good into the place. Like, there's loads of ex-Spurs personnel that are in football and that have been managers before. Like Poyet's thrown his hat into the ring. There's Robbie Keane. I was talking to Flex about Klinsmann earlier. Like there is actually quite a lot out there. You're more informed than me. What do you think is going to happen?
There are so many names and there are so many ex-players and ex-managers wanting to help the football club and come in and turn things around. And I feel at this point at the moment, it is not about tactics. It is about a manager coming in and giving confidence and belief to some of these players. And, when we talk about the other teams, everyone is giving that fight, that grit, desire, that passion. We have to see this in the remaining 7 games. We really, really do. As I said, many people were very confident on Sunday. And then after Sunday's game, I think I spoke to you guys a couple of weeks ago and said about that Crystal Palace game. After that, it was like a reality of, wow, we could go down. But, when you're losing to the teams, particularly in the manner and the fashion that we do, in and around us, like Nottingham Forest had the same points. We're sitting now 1 point above the relegation zone. But as far as the managers go, there are so many people wanting to help this football club right now. And I do feel that Spurs do need to go down the route of having somebody come in who's either played for us or who has managed us before. I know you're going to probably ask me for a name. I would take any of them who is willing to do this job, or even as a collective, 2 or 3 of them coming in and working as a team and getting the best out of these players, putting an arm around them, flexing their egos, etc. Whatever you need to do, get these players playing, because we all know that these players are capable of a lot more. Yes, this squad needs to be a lot better, but Spurs should not be 17th, and that is not me being arrogant about it.
No,
we know we know that there is more than enough quality. And Igor Tudor has come in, and he clearly hasn't, got these players playing the way he wants to. He don't know the Premier League, and I feel like he's found it extremely tough. And my condolences to him and his his family because of the loss of his father. That's not an easy situation at all. But I do expect Spurs to, make this change as soon as possible. Whether they would have done this without his father passing away, I don't know. But one thing I do know is that there have been so many poor decisions in recent years, in recent seasons. We've gone round in circles. We've replaced manager after manager, 6 permanent managers since we moved in that stadium, 4 interim appointments. We can't keep going on like this. I know there are reports at the moment from the Telegraph and the Times stating that they're talking to Roberto De Zerbi about possibly coming in now.
Would you have that if you have to commit to a longer term manager? Because I know maybe the dream was we'll be all right with Thomas Frank to the end of the season, or we'll be all right with Tudor to the end of the season, then we'll obviously go and get Poch. But would you take sort of saying, right, let's just abandon that plan for the greater good of Tottenham? Let's give De Zerbi the job. Let's give him a 2-year deal, 3-year deal, whatever it is, and say, right, you are going to be our actual manager. Keep us up, and not only that, take us forward.
It's funny one, Flex, because you talk to a lot of Spurs fans, and obviously you two are very active online as well, and you see a lot of feedback from Tottenham fans about Roberto De Zerbi, and it's not favourable. But for me personally, I think on the pitch, I think he delivers really good football. I think that the style of play would really suit us, and it's the sort of football that Spurs fans want to see. However, off the pitch, I do think that he can be a very loose cannon. Yeah. It'd be very Antonio Conte-esque of him giving his thoughts and feelings, and probably falling out with a few people here and there.
The prowess, like he's the Conte without those type of medals to put down and say, I can raise my voice because I've done this in the game.
But in all honesty, going back to my earlier point, I think at the moment, and I thought it before we appointed Igor Tudor, we need somebody to come in who knows the football club, who has worn the badge, who has managed us before, somebody who the fans are really going to get attached to and really support, because the support at the moment is so important. And I know it's a really difficult time for all of us, because a lot of us, if not most of us, feel let down on Sunday, because that level of support that we all gave to the team, we need to be seeing a lot more. Yeah. And but we need to carry on, and we need to be a Premier League team next year, because you might not even invite me on next year. We're in the Championship.
Well, we need the EFL updates, mate. We need to see who's in the playoffs. Who's looking good, and who's come up from League One, who's outperforming different teams. So
I had it when Villa are in the Championship. Work takes a hit when you're not in the Premier
League. You're both meant to say no. That's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, and that as well. No, but listen, producer Jeremy's good mates with Hugh Wizencroft as well. Can put you in touch for the EFL updates and stuff. So you know what I mean. Listen, Chris. Yeah, good luck to you, mate.
You said you
do you mean it?
To go down, mate.
Well, to be fair, me and Dan have both said he's trying to throw me under the bus, so I'll do it back to him.
Yeah.
We have said as a spectacle, we're not going to lie, we are intrigued by what that would look like. I want to see them in the Championship. I just want to see. But for you personally, I don't want that.
Yeah, it's not personal to Spurs. I think if any of the big 6 were down there, I'd want to see them go down, to be honest. That's how I feel. So sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
Apologies for my social media strategy.
But I don't know if this won't give you any sort of good feeling, Chris, but just to let you know, I don't actually see this as like a revenge. They beat us in the Europa League final. Now they're getting.
No.
I actually don't. So yeah,
you've got enough trophies. Don't worry about that.
Exactly, mate. Okay, well, hopefully we speak to you again soon, and hopefully for your sake, you're in a much better position, mate. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk. It's Chris Cowlin there from the Spurs Chat Podcast. Right, you are listening to The Social here on talkSPORT2, and next up it's time to check in with William Hill.